Well, a monologue is a literary form that is very short. Some monologues are only a paragraph long, and very few monologues are more than a couple pages long. If you have dialogue, it's usually longer. So the monologue is just somebody speaking, but usually it moves from emotion A, emotion B to emotion C. It usually, there's a trajectory or an arc of emotion. So it starts off with something, just a statement, and it takes you through some emotion and some acceleration and intensification, and then there's an ending that may be a little startling if it's dramatic. So the person is revealing something about himself or herself that wasn't known in the beginning. The monologue I've often assigned takes you from one emotional level to another. Like, it may start off very somber, it may be funny. It may start off quiet and then get angry and then reside again. And so that you have an arc of emotion. So however it starts out, it doesn't end that way. It ends in a slightly different way. And when you see really good acting in movies or on stage, you see an actor going through some arc of emotion. They're not flat, and they're not always the same. And when the actor's not doing that, it's sort of like carbonated beverage that's lost, it's lost the fizz. It's just sort of flat. And great monologues exist all through theater because Hamlet's soliloquies are basically monologues, And some people think that Hamlet was constructed as a sequence of sonnets, of soliloquies, and then the play was kind of constructed around these great soliloquies. So it's very exciting for a writer to just write a monologue without anything around it. One of these little monologues could be like the stepping stone to a novel. If the character comes alive, the person could be very much a character that you would want to write about. In 1990, I was invited as a novelist to write for the theater. And I wrote one-act plays and longer plays and monologues. And I wrote a play that was about 8 monologues called I Stand Before You Naked, and some other little dramas, and this is one of them. This is called Lethal. It has one long paragraph and then one sentence. So the structure is very important. It basically is one long paragraph and then this structure. So this is a man speaking. It's not a woman speaking, but he's speaking to a woman. Lethal. I just want to touch you a little. That delicate blue vein at your temple, the soft down of your neck. I just want to caress you a little. I just want to kiss you a little. Your lips, your throat, your breasts. I just want to embrace you a little. I just want to comfort you a little. I just want to hold you tight, like this. I just want to measure your skeleton with my arms. These are strong, healthy arms, aren't they? I just want to poke my tongue in your ear. Don't giggle, don't squirm. This is serious, this is a real thing. I just want to suck a little. I just want to press into you a little. I just want to penetrate you a little. I just want to ejaculate into you a little. It won't hurt if you don't scream, but you'll be hurt if you keep straining away like that. Thank you, I just want to squeeze you a little. I just want to feel my weight against your bones a little. I just want to bite a little. I just want a taste of it, your saliva, your blood, just a taste, a little. You've got plenty to spare. You're being selfish. You're being ridiculous. You're being cruel. You're being unfair. You're hysterical. You're hyperventilating. You're provoking me. You're laughing at me. You want to humiliate me. You want to make a fool of me. You want to gut me like a chicken. You want to castrate me. You want to make me fight for my life. Is that it? You want to make me fight for my life. Is that it? So that's a man speaking. The structure is one long paragraph growing in intensity as the person reveals more of himself. And then the final line is like the summation. you want me to fight for my life, whereas she's fighting for her life at this point. And he is so projecting his masculinity into her that even though she's the victim, he perceives himself as the victim. And many rapists and child molesters and abusers, they actually think of themselves as victims. They don't feel necessarily guilty. They feel that the victim made them do it. She provoked him by wearing a red dress, or the child looked at him in a certain way, and it's all her fault. And so that final line is meant to be ironic. In a dramatic monologue, you do want to have an escalation of tension. So having an incantatory lines, like, I just, this, a little, a little, a little, I just want to do this. And then several sentences that have exclamation points, you know, one after another, sort of like machine gun fire. On stage, that would be effective. And then you might want to have a longer sentence and something a little longer. And then the whole thing is over with. So it doesn't last very long. You couldn't do this for very long. Like, you couldn't do it for 15 minutes. You could only do it like for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It's very important to look forward to your work. And the playfulness is something that comes with letting your imagination go. So not writing something that's for your professor. You want to get an A+ by being very diligent, having that of footnotes. The creative writing is something that's much more fluent. If you read short stories by J.D. Salinger, for instance, you see how funny he is. He's very sarcastic and ironic. And a lot of it's sort of juvenile humor, but it's funny. You know, the idea that we're all teenagers and we always remember what it was like to have these adults around us who are so pompous and hypocritical. And that release is why many first-person novels have adolescent speakers. And young adult fiction is a very fertile field where people are writing from the point of view of teenagers, even though they're much older. It's very important to project your own imagination into someone else. For instance, if you're a fairly young person, to write from the point of view of an older person. It gives you an immense objectivity, and the perspective is just so much more interesting. Like a young man who's a college student, if he writes from the point of view of a girl, that's something that's new to him, and it's very liberating. So he can write about something he wouldn't have dreamt about writing.